The art of male attraction is often a silent language, a complex web of biological imperatives and psychological triggers that play out long before a single word of confession is uttered. For many men, the prospect of vulnerability is a daunting threshold, leading them to construct a facade of platonic indifference or casual friendship. However, the human brain is not a perfect vault. Despite his best efforts to remain low-key or detached, his subconscious mind is constantly leaking information through micro-expressions, shifts in body language, and involuntary behavioral patterns. This phenomenon occurs because romantic interest triggers a cascade of neurochemicals like dopamine and oxytocin that physically alter how a person moves, speaks, and prioritizes their environment. When a man is hiding his feelings, he is essentially fighting a losing battle against his own nervous system, which is hardwired to seek proximity, protection, and validation from the object of its desire. Understanding these 15 signs is not just about decoding a crush. It is about recognizing the fundamental glitches in the male psyche that occur when the hero instinct and emotional attachment take over. From the way his vocal pitch drops in your presence to the way his memory suddenly becomes hyper-focused on the smallest details of your life. These indicators serve as a roadmap to his internal world. Often, a man will use safe channels like social media, responsiveness, or accidental physical touch to test the waters, gauging your reaction before risking his ego. He may believe he is being subtle, but to an observant eye, the shift from friend to potential partner is marked by a distinct change in gravity. He becomes a silent guardian, a constant digital presence, and a source of unconditional support that far exceeds the boundaries of typical friendship. In the following breakdown, we explore the nuances of these 15 behavioral tells. We look at why a man might lean in unconsciously during a conversation, why he experiences a surge of protective instinct in a crowd, and why he finds himself seeking your approval for even the most mundane life decisions. These signs represent the friction between his logical desire to keep things simple and his emotional drive to build a deeper connection. By the time you reach the final sign, it becomes clear that hiding it is an impossible task when the heart has already made its choice. Whether he is preening his hair, mirroring your posture, or struggling with a flicker of jealousy, these actions are the honest echoes of a heart that is failing to stay hidden. This guide provides the clarity needed to see past the silence and understand the loud, unspoken truth of his affection. The unconscious lean. Human interaction is governed by the laws of physical proximity and gravity. When a man is struggling to suppress his feelings, his body will naturally betray his intentions through a subtle forward tilt. This unconscious lean occurs because the brain is hardwired to move closer to things it desires or finds rewarding. Even in a noisy room or a casual group setting, you will notice him pivoting his torso and shoulders toward you, effectively closing the gap between your personal spaces. It is a biological imperative that overrides his logical attempts to remain cool or detached. By leaning in, he is subconsciously trying to create an intimate bubble that excludes the rest of the world, allowing him to catch every nuance of your voice and expression. This physical magnetism is one of the most difficult tells to mask because it happens without him ever realizing he has moved. Prolonged eye contact and the quick avert. The eyes are often described as the windows to the soul, and in the realm of hidden attraction, they act as the primary leak of information. When he thinks he is hiding his feelings, he will frequently be caught in a loop of intense staring followed by a panicked retreat. You might feel his gaze on you from across a room, a heavy, lingering look that lasts just a second longer than a platonic glance would warrant. However, the moment you make eye contact, he quickly averts his eyes, looking at his phone, the floor, or a distant object to avoid being caught. This look-away reflex is a clear sign of internal conflict. He is drawn to your presence but terrified that his pupils, which naturally dilate when looking at someone we like, will give away the depth of his fascination. The hero instinct activation, deeply rooted in male psychology, is the drive to feel essential and protective toward the person they value most. When he is failing to hide his feelings, this hero instinct manifests as an overwhelming urge to solve your problems, no matter how trivial they may seem. If you mention a flat tire, a difficult colleague, or even a flickering light bulb, he will be the first to offer a solution or physical assistance. He isn't just being helpful, he is auditioning for a permanent role in your life. By positioning himself as your hero, he gains a sense of purpose and a legitimate excuse to spend more time with you. This behavior is a direct result of his subconscious mind, trying to prove his worth and reliability, even while his words remain carefully neutral or strictly friendly. Mirroring your body language. Mirroring is a powerful, involuntary social phenomenon where one person begins to copy the gestures, posture, or speech patterns of another to build rapport. When a man is secretly falling for you, he will start to sync his physical movements with yours as a way of showing subconscious alignment. If you take a sip of your drink, he will take a sip of his. If you cross your legs or lean your head to the left, he will likely follow suit within moments. This mimicry is his brain's way of saying, "I am like you and I am in tune with you." It is a sign of high empathy and deep attraction that bypasses the conscious mind. While he may try to keep his conversation professional or distant, his body is shouting that he is completely synchronized with your energy. Hyper-responsiveness to your social media. In the modern digital age, a man who is trying to hide his feelings often leaves a trail of digital breadcrumbs. Hyper-responsiveness is the tendency to be among the first to view your stories, like your photos, or respond to your posts. Even if he is playing it low-key in person, his digital presence is consistent and immediate. This behavior stems from a desire to stay relevant in your mind and an inability to resist the dopamine hit that comes from interacting with your content. He might use a meme or a brief comment as a safe way to initiate a conversation without having to make a grand declaration of interest. By staying constantly active on your feed, he is failing to hide the fact that he is keeping a very close, dedicated watch on your daily life and updates. Protective physical proximity. When a man's feelings are no longer under his control, he will begin to act as a silent guardian, often without realizing it. This manifests as a consistent effort to be physically near you, especially in crowded or unfamiliar environments. You might notice that he always finds a way to stand behind you in a queue, or he positions himself between you and a rowdy group at a lounge. This isn't necessarily about physical touch. It's about establishing a protective perimeter. His subconscious is prioritizing your safety and comfort, driven by an instinctual need to be your primary source of security. Even if he remains quiet or pretends to be focused on something else, his spatial orientation is locked onto you. This magnetic pull is a classic indicator that his emotional investment has surpassed the just friends stage, as he is now operating on a protective biological frequency. Remembering the smallest details. One of the most profound signs that a man is losing the battle to hide his feelings is the incredible accuracy of his memory regarding your life. While he might pretend to be casual, he will surprise you by recalling a passing comment you made weeks ago about your favorite childhood candy or a specific fear you mentioned once. This active listening on steroids happens because his brain is prioritizing every piece of data associated with you. In his mind, these details are high-value assets. By bringing up these small facts, he accidentally reveals how much mental real estate you occupy. He may try to play it off as just having a good memory, but the reality is that we only store and retrieve information with that level of precision when we are deeply emotionally invested in the source. Subtle jealousy over other men. Even the most composed man will find it difficult to mask the green-eyed monster when his feelings are involved. This isn't usually a dramatic outburst. Instead, it shows up as a subtle shift in mood. When you mention another man's name or a successful date, you might notice him becoming uncharacteristically quiet, offering short, clipped responses, or trying to low-key find flaws in the other person. He might ask pointed questions disguised as casual curiosity, attempting to gauge your level of interest in the competition. This reaction is a failure of his emotional camouflage. His protective and possessive instincts are clashing with his desire to remain just a friend. Because he hasn't claimed a spot in your life officially, the threat of someone else doing so triggers a visible, restless discomfort he can't quite hide, nervous fidgeting or preening. When we are around someone we are attracted to, our bodies experience a spike in physiological arousal, which often translates into displacement behaviors. If he is failing to hide his feelings, you will see him fidgeting, adjusting his watch, smoothing his shirt, or running his hands through his hair whenever you are nearby. This is a mix of nervous energy and the preening instinct, where a man subconsciously tries to look his best for a potential mate. He wants to appear groomed and composed, yet his internal anxiety about your presence makes him restless. These micro-movements are a direct window into his state of mind. His nervous system is reacting to the high stakes of the interaction, making it impossible for him to remain perfectly still or truly indifferent in your presence. The deepening of his vocal tone. Vocal modulation is a fascinating biological glitch that occurs when a man is attracted to a woman. Studies in evolutionary psychology show that men often lower the pitch of their voice when speaking to someone they find romantically appealing. This happens subconsciously as a way to project masculinity, authority, and confidence. If you notice that his voice sounds warmer, steadier, or noticeably deeper when he speaks to you compared to how he talks to his friends or colleagues, he is failing to hide his attraction. This intimate register is designed to create a sense of closeness and to capture your undivided attention. It is an involuntary biological signal that his body is trying to woo you, even if his words are strictly professional or platonic, making his voice one of his most honest features. Seeking your approval for decisions. When a man is emotionally invested, his personal compass begins to align with your opinions, even if he hasn't admitted his feelings yet. You will notice him checking in with you on choices that don't necessarily require your input, ranging from what he should wear to a big event to how he should handle a complex situation at work. This behavior is a subtle form of testing the waters to see if your values and tastes match his. By prioritizing your perspective, he is subconsciously integrating you into his decision-making process, making you a central figure in his life, even if he frames it as just looking for a second opinion. The frequency and nature of these requests reveal that your approval carries more weight than anyone else's, proving he is failing to keep his admiration under wraps. Finding excuses for physical touch. Physical touch is a powerful barrier, and when a man is falling for you, he will constantly look for accidental ways to break it. This might manifest as a brief touch on the small of your back as he walks past, a lingering hand on your shoulder during a laugh, or accidentally brushing his arm against yours while sitting together. These micro-interactions are his way of gauging your reaction and building a physical connection without the risk of a formal rejection. He is testing the chemistry between you, driven by a biological urge to be close. While he may play these moments off as coincidental or friendly, the deliberate nature of these near-miss touches reveals a deep-seated desire for intimacy that his words are too afraid to express, making his hands far more honest than his tongue. The constant check-in texts. A man who is trying to stay just friends usually communicates with a specific purpose, but one who is hiding deeper feelings will find any reason to pop up in your notifications. These check-in texts often look like, "saw this and thought of you," or "how did that meeting go?" They are digital anchors designed to keep him present in your mind throughout the day. By initiating these low-stakes conversations, he is ensuring that the connection remains active, and that he is the first person you think of when something happens. This consistent communication is a failure of his emotional camouflage. He simply cannot go long periods without interacting with you. His need for your attention outweighs his desire to remain cool, leading to a pattern of messaging that far exceeds standard platonic boundaries. Different treatment in group settings. His behavior in a group is one of the most glaring giveaways that he is struggling to hide his feelings. Observe how he interacts with everyone else versus how he interacts with you. If he is louder, more attentive, or more protective toward you than toward other friends, the secret is out. He might direct all his jokes your way to see if you laugh, or he might become uncharacteristically quiet when you are talking to someone else. This special treatment is a result of his focus being narrowed down to a single person, despite the crowd. To the outside observer, it becomes obvious that you are the sun around which his social world orbits. His inability to maintain a uniform friend persona in your presence is a clear sign that his internal hierarchy has already placed you at the very top. The unconditional support glitch. The final sign that he is failing to hide his feelings is a level of support that feels almost too good to be true. Whether it's staying up late to help you finish a project, driving across town to bring you soup when you're sick, or being the only one to stand up for you in a disagreement, he is consistently there. This glitch occurs because his emotional attachment has overridden his sense of self-preservation or convenience. He isn't weighing the cost of his time or effort. He is simply reacting to your needs with an intensity that only comes from deep affection. While he might call it being a good friend, the sheer consistency and sacrifice involved tell a different story. His actions have become a loud, undeniable declaration of love that his pride is not yet ready to vocalize.